like he'll just still talk over it. No one will know. I have it playing, but I can't find the window that's playing it.
Oh crap. Okay.
All right, so we need to open it in something I can actually adjust the
Yay!
volume
I'm into
in.
the show notes. Woohoo! That took way longer than I needed it to. Ding.
Hey, I've been having this problem. I actually wasn't planning on talking about this on the show, but
Mhm.
it was the reason. So just now I was saying like I can't see the window to do anything. I don't know if you're watching the live stream right now. Oh gosh, see it's doing it again.
No, I'm not. I'm not yet.
All right, I'll wait till you get there, and I've got a setup prepared here. Thing.
Okay, let's hear. Okay, I'm about ready to. Okay, I'm on the stream now. I'm on the
Okay.
stream.
All right. So watch this. Watch what happens whenever I maximize this window. Ah, I didn't do it. All right. Hold on. Let me see if I can make it happen. Look, you see that?
Wait.
My screen just turns into this white blur.
Oh yeah, now I see it. Now I just saw it. Yeah.
Isn't this?
That's super weird.
Yeah. And if I shake the window around, like you can kind of see the buttons, and the buttons are there, so like I can close it. That's weird, huh? I have no idea what's causing that. Let's see if I can make it happen again. Yep, it's doing it on my other monitor right now. Whoa!
Oh my
But then
goodness.
whenever I made it
Whoa,
full,
I've never seen that ever. Never. That's
and
so weird.
I'm trying to make it happen again. It's not a Firefox thing because it was doing it in Brave as well.
Huh.
So I mean, the only thing I can think is it's some kind of graphics driver kind of deal.
What are you using? What distro?
I'm on Pop OS still. I'm on Pop
Really?
OS in GNOME, and this is the same Pop OS I was using for the i3 experiment that we did, but I've just reverted back to using GNOME, and I've just been doing the regular updates. I haven't done anything else. And it just started. This just started happening in the last couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Like it's doing it on my other screen right now. Like you can kind of see before I let go of this window that it's doing it. But then there it goes. It's all white. Make it full screen. Yep, it's still white.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. I'm thinking that because I kind of goofed around with this installation, getting the i3 to work and installing all that extra stuff. That I think I'm going to do a fresh install. I really like Pop OS. I think I'm going to do Pop OS again. I kind of wish they had some other desktop options, but I'll probably just stick with the install in GNOME, I guess. I haven't been having.
As long as it works for you.
Yeah. So what was happening was, if I would open my settings and then on the audio tab, every once in a while, my audio device down here would just disappear. Like there would be nothing here. And I couldn't select anything, and that has not happened in a while now. Like basically, it basically hasn't happened in podcast relative time. It hasn't happened in about 3 episodes of the podcast, which for us that's about a month and a half. So it's been a little while since it's happened.
Wow.
But anyway. So I said I wasn't gonna have a cold open. Maybe that's the cold open. If you have any suggestions for how I could fix my weird blurry window, and
it's like it's not even ghosting. It's just like I don't even know what to say.
If I move it around, I could kind of see it. I could see through it.
And it's like I don't even know because it's like it's not like a physical screen problem because I can see it through the stream.
Yeah, and I had only ever seen it with my web browser, but like I said, I saw it in Brave and in Firefox. But then right before we were starting the show, I was trying to play the audio file just by launching it from the file browser. So if I just launch this file, see, I can't see anything inside this window.
Oh my goodness.
But I open it in VLC on my other screen, so that's what I'll use to play it. All right, Graham says hi, guys. Hey, Graham, how's it going? We had an awesome game last night.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you guys go all out with your D&D.
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of D&D lately. A lot of RPGs. All right, you ready to start this thing? Hello, welcome to Crowbar Kernel Panic, the podcast at the intersection of Linux and gaming. This is episode 16. We are live streaming. We're live streaming at like a lot of places today. We're doing 2 YouTube channels and Twitch and Facebook. Yeah, we're trying to stream everywhere we can. But I would say the place to find the edited versions of this podcast on YouTube is going to be Crowbar Kernel Panic. I actually just made a Twitch. I've had it for a little while, but I've never streamed to it. Well, I tried to stream once drawing. Like I was drawing on a drawing tablet, but like I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know, like, what do you say whenever there's no one watching you and like one person shows up and then you're like, oh, I'm drawing. You know, like I didn't know what to do. So I've just never used the channel since then. So we're doing it for the first time tonight. And you can send us an email at crowbarkernelpanic@pm.me, and you can join us on Discord. We have a link to that in the show notes. Let me turn this music down. We're doing the music live today. It's the first time we've tried that too. Today's a day of firsts. So we're gonna try to do the news at the beginning before the wanderings this time. That way, whenever we have this like clickbaity title and thumbnail, it'll actually make sense to the podcast, and then you can stay and listen to us banter about the stuff that has nothing to do with the clickbait for the rest of the show, which is really the good part. So I'll go ahead and tell you that now. Stay for the good part. But in the news, the first thing we've got in the docket is a pretty fun story.
Yeah, I didn't actually read this yet. I'm just reading it out. This is interesting.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So after waiting for his GPU, this man sent the shop an anniversary cake. So there was a Polish guy that ordered a graphics card. We've all been talking about how hard it is to get graphics cards lately. And on the 1-year anniversary of his order, he actually had a cake commissioned and sent it to the shop to commemorate their 1-year anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
Which is not only hilarious, but it actually worked out pretty good for him, because shortly after that he received the graphics card.
That's awesome. They're probably like, this one guy gets this graphics card, but you know what? This guy sent us a cake, so we're going to transfer this one to him.
Yeah, he probably jumped the line a little bit. Like there's like a few people didn't get theirs because he did.
Definitely.
So maybe that's how you get. That's how you.
Now every place is going to start getting cakes.
Yeah, just start sending
hundreds
cakes.
Of cakes.
Just start sending cakes to all these companies, and then they'll get your graphics card out the door. Man, I was looking over the weekend, like I was like trying to figure out like how, like, because you recently upgraded, and so you know any good like gaming PC nerd can't see their friend get an upgrade and them not go, okay, so I got to figure out how I could spend money now. And I was looking at graphics cards. Really and truly, I'm a little early for a graphics card. I should probably wait a little bit longer before I order a graphics card. But I should do CPU and RAM. But even CPU and RAM seems like kind of hard to get right now. Like it seems like everything is kind of on like huge delays for ordering. So yeah, I don't know.
Everything's like that. Yeah.
I'm gonna bake a few cakes. I think is the solution, really.
And make sure you have multiple ready, so you don't know what flavor they might like.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. They should put that in the questionnaire whenever you're ordering your card. You know, like, you know, how much GPU RAM, you know, what series, NVIDIA or Radeon, cheesecake, strawberry, carrot. You know, like they should add these are all questions that maybe they should add to the filtering. Whenever you filter on Amazon or any website where you're ordering hardware, they should add that to the filter.
That's great.
Graham says that the Steam Deck is pretty much the future of PC gaming. So you know what? I'm kind of on board with that. I kind of like the idea.
I don't know.
Yeah, I never want to get away from building my own PC. Like I think.
Oh yeah, I don't want that to die ever. Like that's something that needs to, because you know what's going to happen. It's never going to die. It really won't. Mm-hmm. But it's just going to keep getting more and more expensive because less people will be doing it, and then you know demand won't be as much, and then it'll just get more expensive, and until we can't afford it.
I didn't think about it from that light. Yeah, that's true. We were actually talking to somebody last night. A friend of mine's son is looking into building a gaming PC right now, and because of
Ouch.
Yeah, and because of the price, and he understands this because he works at Geek Squad. He's someone I used to know from when I worked there.
Yeah.
You know, we were telling him, we were like, it's almost like just get the kid a Steam Deck when it comes out, and then hook it up to a mouse and keyboard and monitor, because it's just crazy. All right, next on the news list, we have the BloodyStealer. Advanced Trojan steals accounts from most major gaming platforms. So this is the announcement of a malware that is not only like advanced in the way that it is it's hiding itself. So it does a series of obfuscation, like trying to hide itself from researchers that are trying to find it or discover it by things like Kaspersky or, you know, any kind of malware scanning. But it's also targeting like Steam, Good Old Games, like it's targeting like gaming accounts, and then turning around and selling those accounts in bulk online.
I'm assuming this is a Windows thing.
Probably most likely Windows, yeah.
I don't read Windows specific anywhere here, but I'm assuming it is.
It's more than likely. I didn't actually look into that either, but you know, I don't know if I told you. I think I told this story. The time that I tried to use a nefarious software for a game. I think the statute of limitations now are lifted, right? But I tried to use a phishing bot to try to like fish in World of Warcraft.
Yes, you did tell us that. Yeah.
And it stole my account details. And whenever I logged into my account, it had stole all my guild stuff and like it was like a gold farmer or whatever. So I got that through like downloading some like I brought that upon myself because like I downloaded something from a shady website.
Yeah, you're almost expecting something to happen at that point.
Yeah, like that was completely like I was totally bringing that on myself. I wonder if this article, I don't know if it describes it here. Kaspersky is the company that made the discovery. Researchers advise other common sense measures like using strong passwords, two-factor authentication, only downloading apps from trusted sources, making sure the website is asking for your credentials, are authenticated, not clicking links and emails, bada.
What's wrong with authenticapps.com?
Yeah. Totally legit apps.com. Yeah.
This will not brick your computer.com.
Let's see. This is a quote. We were able to identify several anti-analysis methods that were used to complicate reverse engineering and analysis of BloodyStealer, including the usage of packers and anti-debugging techniques. So that's describing, you know, what it was doing to kind of obfuscate itself. We had been monitoring the BloodyStealer since its announcement, so we were able to notice that the majority of the BloodyStealer samples were protected with the commercial solution named AgileNet. While analyzing samples discovered in the wild, we found that some of them were protected not only by AgileNet, but also with other very popular protection tools for the .NET environment, such as Confuser. So if it's using .NET, then
it must be Microsoft.
It must be Microsoft.
Yeah.
This was crazy too. So Kaspersky says that the sellers use a malware as a service distribution model. It only costs $10 per month or $40 for a lifetime license.
What? Oh my gosh.
Making it attractive for those wishing to steal gaming accounts. And they've got some posts here of like some Madden accounts they're selling online for like 50 cents an account.
Thank goodness my account sucks.
Yeah, nobody wants my account. $4,000 for a bulk of 280,000 accounts. So I wonder if this, like, is this stealing like people's like accounts to a specific game, or is it like stealing like your Steam account?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it might be your Steam account, which would be now that's scary. I don't want
Yeah.
that to happen because then you're freaking. That's all your games and stuff.
Yeah,
See here. Let me see here.
I've got to admit, so I have two-factor turned on mine, and I have a complicated password. But I don't know. I'm nervous to talk about it because because I know that there's gonna be segments where I'm gonna show my Steam name, and I already have on the stream. But I think I have a somewhat valuable Steam account because I got it during like mine's a 4-digit account because I got it I've had it so long. But in all
I don't know what
honesty,
mine is. I've never actually checked.
I don't do achievement. Like I don't know why you'd want my account. I don't do achievements. I only buy cheap games.
Yeah, like 10-year-old games.
Yeah, yeah. You want Lord of the Rings online? You want Star Trek online? Like what you want these old MMOs? Yeah.
Oh, that's great. They're all free to play games.
Yeah.
This account sucks. Who stole this account?
I don't have a good name. Yeah, I don't think mine's worth stealing, but now I'm nervous about it anyway. Probably this will probably be the this topic right here may be the titling of the show. I don't know yet. But the next news item we have Linus and Luke are testing Linux. So this is from the WAN show. I don't have a link or anything to pull up, but in the most recent episode, they talked about their like Linux challenge that they're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
And I listened to the episode. I got some things I'm a little worried about. But what you
got
probably
a couple things I'm worried about.
Okay, good. But I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like you have a better understanding of what their challenge is. So can you describe it to me a little bit?
As far as I know, what they're gonna do is they're going to switch over their main gaming PCs, both of them, to 2 different distros, and I'm not sure what distros are gonna pick yet. We haven't got the new WAN show yet to know which ones. I don't even know if they're gonna pick them this next one, but we're kind of assuming it's gonna be Pop OS on Linus's side, and on Luke's side, we're not sure yet because there was a lot of different ones, including Gentoo, and I'm like,
oh my gosh.
who the heck? And then they scoffed. I love this. This was the best part of the whole show. I laughed for a good 5 minutes for this.
Yeah.
They scoffed at Fedora, and yet we picked Fedora as one of the best, if not the best, freaking gaming distro.
Yeah.
I was dying.
The part that I listened to was they were really talking about how the Fedora meme, like the milady kind of meme thing. They were kind of joking about that more than the actual OS itself. But I think that I'm one of those people too. I remember in old Linux action shows, they used to always like Fedora was like the joke of the show. Like they always made fun of Fedora, and Fedora was one of the first. If not the first, I never can remember if I actually tried Ubuntu or Fedora first, but I was trying both around that same time period, and I've always kind of thought that it was like a little bit of a joke. But then when we've tried it recently, I mean it's actually really polished, it's really good. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think it's not. I think it is for a particular user. Like I think
it's not for a beginner. There's some things you have to do to get it right, but it's not as bad as Arch or something like that.
Oh
no, close to that.
No,
for a new user.
Yeah. Yes and no. Okay. So
yes and no.
So I will get like, all right. So I get on my Arch soapbox a lot of times. But so like Arch, by the way, listeners in the chat, like don't hate. All right. But I will say that there are some things about Arch that actually makes things like more user friendly. Like the Arch user repository. For the longest time, I would use Reaper on Arch because it was in the Arch user repository, but they didn't have a nice clean installer for Debian. You had to like build it from like their source, or like you had to do like a make install and all this kind of stuff. And at that time, I wasn't familiar with that, and so I was like, I'm just going to install Arch because I can just like install that thing and it'll work. I don't have to worry about how to make it, from nothing. And so there is some user friendliness to Arch even over Fedora. some people I would say try Arch before Fedora, but then there's some people that if you have any experience in the IT world, maybe you've used Red Hat before, then definitely Fedora is going to be more friendly to you. But yeah, I wonder what Luke's gonna choose on his side. I'm pretty sure Linus will do pop though, probably.
I hope it's like Manjaro or something like that. That's not gonna be crazy because Manjaro and pop. Well, even pop's gonna give Linus probably a hard time, but Manjaro's probably one of the best all-around distros, just because it has the AUR and all that stuff, like you said. So it's got all the software, and you know, it's got all the desktops and all that stuff. It's like it's just a well-rounded distro.
Yeah. Hey, give me just a second. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, commotion in the other room. I gotta make sure my kid's not going crazy.
All right, so I guess I'll keep talking. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about this with Linus and Luke. Oh, I just don't know how they're gonna get around a lot of the stuff that has to do with um Linux being Linux. You know, they're gonna have to. I was just talking about Linus and Luke and how they're gonna be able to deal with being Linux, and you know, Linux apps and stuff like that, like how the quarks and all this stuff that they have to deal with versus Windows, where it's just grab the installer, install, and go. You know.
Yeah, in the other room they were having a good time, not a bad time. It's just they're just playing. They're playing loudly. Yeah, I know. So all right. So what I put that I'm worried about is I'm not really worried about the gaming side of it. I'm worried about the non-gaming stuff. Because even when I use Windows, I usually use applications that are also available on Linux. Like on Windows, I still use Firefox or Chrome or Brave. I don't really use Kdenlive, but I use GIMP. I use GIMP even on Windows. Like Krita is available on Windows.
Yep.
There's a lot of applications that just I think Linux users kind of know is like their go-to application that they already use. You know, different mail clients. Whereas if you're coming from Windows and you've not already sort of adopted that sort of open source even on Windows kind of thing, then he's got the additional hurdle of like, not only am I trying a different OS, but you know, this Adobe software that I use to edit videos is not available on Linux. And so I'm going to have to Google video editing on Linux, and there's going to be like a top 6 list. And in that top 6 list, only one of them is really going to be good for Pop OS. And so I mean they're gonna run into like those hurdles, you know. Whereas they're
not even gonna find Pop OS. They're gonna find Ubuntu stuff.
Yeah,
and they're gonna have to translate it to Pop OS because I mean it's the same thing, but they're still gonna have to in their mind be like, oh yeah, right, I can look up Ubuntu stuff because I'm on Pop OS.
Yeah, and I think that goes to some of the criticism they made in this most recent episode. I think that they talk a lot about how like if you've lived in the Linux world for a long time, you may take it for granted that like, oh, you're going to hand somebody a computer and they're going to be able to use this software. They're going to know to use this software in this situation.
Right.
And you know, it's likely they're not going to have the same experience you did because, you know, they're not going to have those years of experience of you learning to live in that environment.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the aspect of the challenge that I'm a little worried about. Because obviously I want them to have a good experience, because if they talk about it on their show, there's going to be a lot of people that it's going to be more apt to try Linux gaming because of it. Not that I appreciate the fact that I think they're going to talk about it honestly, but I kind of hope that they're getting some guidance in some way to use certain applications.
That's the thing that I'm not sure about, because Linus said specifically that he didn't want help. Like even from Anthony, which is their like resident Linux user. So I'm like, oh, this is just everything that he keeps saying. It just adds up to being possibly a bad scenario.
Like, it's not really a fair comparison. Like, imagine like using Windows for the first time, fumbling around in the dark. Like, it's impossible to find that person that's never been exposed to Windows, because it is just such a part of our society. But like if you could, like that's why your grandparents seem dumb using computers, because they never had to learn it. They never had to do it. They didn't have 30 years like just using it. And it's going to be like that for Linus, where it's just he's going to be just stumbling around in the dark. He's going to be like, God, this is so much harder than Windows. But it's like it would be if you were just as dumb about Windows as you are right now about Linux. Then it would be exactly as hard. So I just
it was like me when I got my first Mac back in 2010. I was like, I mean, I could figure it out for the most part, but like as far as finding apps and stuff like that, and then the whole DMG, they put it on the desktop, and then you gotta like, I was like, whoa, what is this? There's no installer. What's going on here?
I know.
It was so confusing at first. I just I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna hit Chrome here, and we're just gonna go online.
I remember the first time using a Mac, and whenever you install something and it just tells you like to slide it, like just slide this from here to here, and it's
what's that gonna do?
Like what?
Oh, that's a desktop icon, right? No,
it's like all right, like just close this and let me find the installer. Like, where's the installer? Like it can't,
exactly.
It can't possibly be that easy where I just slide it from there. No way.
And then they had the App Store. I'm like, what the heck's an App Store?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, where's the App Store every time I go onto Windows? Oh, wait, it sucks.
And, it's another thing, too. I can't remember who I heard talk about this recently. I think it was Destination Linux. They were talking about how people give this unfair comparison between Linux and Windows versus Mac and Windows. Like, people buy a Mac and they just expect, like, I just know because I bought a Mac that this is going to be used for Adobe products, Apple products, and I'm never going to play a game on it for my entire life, or I'll play like the very small library of games that's possible to play on a Mac. But like no one looks at Linux that way. No one looks at Linux like, oh, it's an OS that I can use for development, and it actually has a larger inventory of games that are available compared to Mac. Like no one compares it that way.
Right.
And
a Swiss Army knife versus like a shovel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like Linux is so much closer to being a gaming environment than Mac is. They have exactly the same problem. It's just the community that is developing things to get around that in the Linux world has just really been pushing more towards games than they have the types of things that the Mac community has been pushing towards. But yeah, so one conversation that they had in this episode that I thought was kind of revealing was they talked about GitHub, which
see, I don't remember this part. I must have tuned out at that time because I don't remember this.
I jokingly told you I was getting heated about it. I actually thought it was funny. This was one of maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I use GitHub on Windows exactly as I do on Linux. Like I don't know what's
right.
I don't know what I'm doing, but even on, because the only time I ever use GitHub is for work, and even on my work PC, which runs Windows, I have a terminal in my Visual Studio Code,
right,
and I just get clone in the actual Visual Studio application. I just get clone whatever I'm downloading, and then if I'm on the server that this is going to be on, then I get it there. Like I don't do any.
Can't you use something like Git Kraken? Isn't that on both?
Yeah,
Windows and
you can
Linux,
actually,
right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the reason why you just reminded me of that. The reason why I have a terminal in my Visual Studio Code is because of some Git extension that I've installed.
Right.
But it's actually Git that is giving you the ability to have that terminal.
Right.
And so on Windows or Linux, I would use it the same way. And in the conversation that they had about it, and they were using it as part of their discussion of this challenge they're doing. They were talking, I don't know what it was he was trying to install, but he was talking about how he was like going specifically to that file in the Git repository, and then he just wanted to.
Now I remember.
He was.
I don't remember exactly, but I remember.
I understand.
That part
I understand intuitively why he ran into the dilemma he did, but I just got to say I've just never tried to do it this way. But I can see how he got into this. But he was trying to right click on the file, but it's really a link to that file's documentation in GitHub. It's not actually a link to the file.
Right.
And so when he right clicks on it and saves it, he's just saving the website on the other side of that link, which is the GitHub documentation for the file, instead of actually like cloning the file or downloading the file from Git. And his description of this dilemma was that like this was like overall like this is an example of the greater problem with Linux where you know, you just expect that someone knows how to do that going into it. But I just don't think that's like, I just don't think that's normal operation. Like if I gave my grandmother Ubuntu, she would never go to GitHub, nor would she ever
She'd hit
need
the Chrome icon and that'd be it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or whatever you gave her, you know?
Like I don't think, and even if you're taking it a step above our grandparents and saying, well, these are kind of computer power users, like maybe they'd use GitHub for some things. We've got an example coming up today with your laptop where there was a GitHub repository where someone submitted a possible fix to one of the problems that you're having with your laptop. And so even if someone like Linus or like a power user wanted to run Linux on their laptop and they're like, well, hey, I want this button to work. So there's this GitHub. I don't know. I feel like that is the same process on Windows. Like I don't see how it's that different, but maybe it's just that.
Yeah, I don't see the difference, really.
You know what it could be? The only thing that I could grant it is that Linux users are so DIY and we have so like many like contributions from the individual that a system like GitHub is probably used more in a Linux community versus a Windows community.
Right.
Although, isn't GitHub owned by Microsoft, or do I have it backwards? Microsoft owns one of the two. Yeah, it is.
It's owned by Microsoft. Yeah.
But anyway,
I've used GitHub to get a couple things for Windows, but I basically just download the exe from GitHub. It's not like
okay,
make it or anything like that. It's already made in the exe.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They were kind of tongue in cheek, like that was part of the joke of the whole thing. But there was like a kind of a monologue that Linus gave where he was like, "This is why, you know, you take it for granted that people know these things." But I just don't feel like that's a Linux specific thing.
Maybe if they have such a bad thinking of how this is gonna go, it's gonna be much better than what they're what they're thinking already. So hopefully he's thinking this thing is gonna be a dumpster fire, and it's just not gonna be.
Yeah.
I think if he takes advice from Anthony, he'll be fine.
Oh, I think they're going to do fine.
It's going to be a struggle.
I actually think that lately, more than in the past, I've enjoyed the WAN show, and I've enjoyed more of their commentary recently than in the past. And so I don't know. We were talking about this earlier today, and I just thought that part was funny about the GitHub thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think of that as something that is like a specific Linux problem. I don't know. Anyway, I know that they one thing he pointed out, and I completely agree with this, is that like in the Linux community you kind of have like two people. Like there's the RTFM people, which of course Linux fans are very similar to Star Trek fans. I'll tell you that. There's the like true fans, and then there's like the like really open, like we want to but like you have the RTFM people, but then you've got the people that are like super like call me anytime, like, you know, it's just here's my phone number, send me a text, I'll answer all your questions, you know. And
I promise I won't get burned out.
and I get like he says like, yeah, but I don't want to have to like call somebody. I don't want to have to like reach out to this community every time I have a problem. I want it to just work, and then maybe once in a blue moon, it's nice knowing that there's a good community out there that could help me in that event. But it shouldn't be like the way, like the default way to learn how to use your OS is, it shouldn't be just like, oh, I rely on the kindness of all these people.
Oh man, I do that too often though.
Yeah. Oh, you're really good about it. You're always helping people in the chat. But I was going to put it out there. I don't know that we have 60 subs. I don't know that this is ever going to get to Linus, but if you have any questions, ask Crowbar Kernel Panic. We will try our best to help you. We'll sick the Linux hounds on it. But yeah, so that was the first time we did news at the top of the show. I actually think it went pretty good.
That was good. Yeah, I liked it.
I'm always worried that like we won't have like enough of a warm up if we don't do the Wonderings first, but that was kind of a warm up for the Wonderings, which is really
yeah, right.
which is the real show. So, You got a new laptop.
Yeah, I did. It's
awesome. It came. How long did it take to come in? We just talked about it the last episode, and then it came in.
It literally took about 5 days. It was fast.
So wild.
It was awesome, and it's sold out now.
Oh man.
Yeah. I was like, I looked there, and I'm like, yes, I beat the scalpers. Yes. I don't think people are scalping laptops as much as GPUs though.
Well,
so.
It was such an unbelievable deal because you showed it to me, and I was kind of like on the DL. I was kind of like, there's something up with this. Like, there's no way.
I kind of thought
there's no way that price is really that good. But now that it's sold out, I think it really was just that good.
Yeah. And like all I hear from everyone is like, do not wait for the deals at towards Christmas and all that stuff because there's gonna be nothing left. Yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just taking this. I'm just going with it.
Everybody is like talking about like the shipping trouble right now, but
yeah,
I think that it's I think in a lot of situations they're just not selling stuff because I'm finding it harder to find things available.
I think there's just a cascading effect going up through everything, right from the consumer right down to the manufacturer. It's like just cascading effect of death.
That's a good point. Yeah, it could be that it's hard to find laptops because it's hard to get microprocessors to make laptops or something like that. Yeah.
Or there's that one little piece in the laptop that they can't get, and the rest of the laptop's built like these cars, but they can't get this one chip.
the tray to the CD drive.
Yeah, exactly. It's something stupid like that. Seriously. Oh man.
I ordered something recently that came with a disc, and I was like, I don't have any disc drives. What am I going to put this in?
I always keep a spare disc drive lying around. Like, I have a Blu-ray player because I rip all my Blu-rays and all the DVDs and all that stuff because I can't stand having all those. But, I always keep one around because there's always that one time that you want to get that old software, and you just want to look at it once, and it's like, just plug the CD in, whatever.
So does your new laptop doesn't have a disk drive?
No, it does not. It does not.
It's a dinosaur. Disk drives have gone the way of the dinosaur.
It could not fit a disk drive with how like packed this thing is.
Wow.
It's got 4 outputs for the fans. 4 outputs.
I gotta tell you, the camera looks a whole lot better. It looks
I mean
camera's a huge
it looks
improvement.
pretty good. I can see it. I can see it here. I'm pretty impressed by it. I mean, I've never had this good of a camera for a webcam, at least. The lighting's good here too in my parents' basement. That's where I'm at right now. But
oh, okay. So you were having trouble with the turbo button.
Yes, there is a turbo button, and it's awesome on Windows. Like you won't be able to hear anything after you hit it because the fans kick all the way up. But with the noise canceling headphones on, you're fine.
Yeah.
But under Linux, that doesn't work until you found the GitHub repository that actually enables it.
Yeah. So, first thing I wanted to ask was like my initial impression. I've never had a device with a turbo button. I'm pretty sure.
This is the first one.
I think my wife had like an old Dell Inspiron or something that had one like a long time ago, and I don't think you'd press the button and like nothing would change. Like. Nothing would happen. It was just to make you think your computer was moving faster.
This overclocks the GPU and the CPU, and it turns the fans all the way up. Like it maxes everything out.
So
That's
like
basically what it does.
I read about it a little bit, but I was actually reading about a different laptop. It was one of the MSI turbo buttons, but I assume that they exist for a similar reason. But it's like because it's a laptop, you both want to deal with heat and power. And so typically they just have things clocked down to not consume as much power and produce as much heat. Right. But then whenever you don't care about those things, you can press the button to just max everything out.
Well, there's three modes. You can do custom modes, but there's 3 default modes. There's normal, extreme, and turbo. Okay. Extreme won't put the fans up like at all. It just kind of like it overclocks everything and then adjusts by the temperature how much the fans go up. Turbo overclocks everything to the max right away and puts the fans up because it knows it's going to need to put the fans up. And you can only use the turbo button when the laptop is plugged in because it won't be able to. It just won't work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, obviously.
That's so funny. Like, it's funny because if you look at the original existence here, I'll find it real quick and read it to you because I looked up turbo buttons, like not on a modern laptop. I just looked up turbo button,
right,
and it gave me like a Wikipedia,
oh, no,
a Wikipedia description of it. Turbo button.
Button that does nothing.
I don't know if this is the same thing I read earlier, but on IBM PC compatible computers, the turbo button selects one of two run states: the default normal speed of a reduced turbo speed. It was relatively common on computers using the Intel 80286. Intel, that was not the description I read earlier. Was like talking about how it was like a compatibility button, basically between like older style games versus newer. Like like the
is this Linux?
this was just like at like some turn of a CPU architecture. Like,
oh, I got you. Like from PowerPC to x86.
Yeah, like maybe that was it, but it was just you would have to hit this button to get the proper performance on the older style PC games.
How awesome would it be if Linux laptops had that, like a Proton button? Like, oh, I need this game to work. Proton button. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Isn't that what the gaming mode is? That's what
Valve, listen to us. We need a Proton button on the Steam Deck too. Come on.
Well, Ubuntu has that game mode or whatever, so you can just have a button that turns game mode on. But yeah, so in researching that, because I kind of like when I first hear turbo button, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's marketing. Like,
yeah, marketing crap.
When I install Linux, everything's just gonna run fully, and I'm gonna have no battery life. But who cares? You know, that's kind of what I thought would happen.
I haven't tested battery life yet, so I can't say anything yet. I haven't had long enough to really get a good grip on that.
But I did, like you alluded to, I did actually find a GitHub project. I have no idea how the validity of this or anything.
It's fine. I'm not worried about it.
He actually gives you yeah, how good's the warranty? How good's the warranty?
Totally different hard drive, so I'm not worried about this screwing with my Windows install or anything.
Well, let me read you his warning first.
Oh crap.
But this is from Jafar Akandali. I'm sure I butchered your name. I apologize, but I'll leave a link to this in the show notes. But this is Acer Gaming RGB keyboard backlight and turbo mode Linux kernel module, and it's for the Predator line, the Helios line, and the Nitro line. Now, I'm surprised that you can't just use what's the name of this application? This CKB Next application. That's what I use for my all my RGB stuff. I'm surprised that
you might be able to use that for the keyboard, maybe.
Have you tried that by any chance?
I have not tried anything yet, really, because I'm just kind of trying to test games out and stuff. That's all I've been doing. So I haven't got to try all that, but I do want to get into that because I've always wanted to see. I've never had a keyboard that I could do that with. Yeah. That I needed, a special software for. So now that I do, I'm gonna be like going crazy with all these different things that I could try out.
Whenever the COVID lockdowns first started and I was working from home, I was like, I'm going to go buy a new keyboard. If I'm going to be working from home, I'm going to get me a nicer keyboard for my home computer. Yeah. And I went to Best Buy, and it was like while I was supposed to be working. So like in the middle of my workday, I go to Best Buy wearing this is when they were doing you had to pull up and they
You're the reason for the always on cameras.
they were doing the curbside thing. And I got just some random Corsair keyboard that was like, $100 or so. And when I got it home and plugged it up, the RGB, I don't know if it was just because I was on Linux or if it was just set this way, but the only RGB I could get was like this bright pink.
Of course. Did it have pink switches in it?
Maybe, I don't know. I went and returned it later that day for the one that I have now. But yeah, it was funny. My coworkers were cracking up about it. So apparently this does not only the RGB on the keyboard, but also your turbo button issue.
I'm very interested in that. I want to see if it works.
Now, the warning he gives, he says, warning, all caps. use at your own risk.
Of
This
course.
driver interacts with low-level WMI methods which haven't been tested on all
crap.
series. And
Maybe
then,
I'm gonna get in contact with this guy and actually ask him if he has my laptop or a close cousin of my laptop.
now he's
Ooh,
got a
that sounds
chart
scary.
here. Have you looked to see if your model's in this chart? He has a
I did not
chart.
actually look in there. I should have looked in. Is it on GitHub?
Yes,
The
it's
chart? Okay, let me let's take a quick look there.
all right, because yeah, the AN series, which yours, I don't remember what you said. Yours is a Nitro, right?
Yeah, the Nitro. Yep.
Oh, the N
It's
doesn't.
probably not in here because
It's
this is
newest.
a new laptop.
Yeah, so it may not have been tested yet, but the turbo mode is not.
Do I test?
Well, actually, it says it's not implemented. So they have a yes or no for implemented versus tested. So yeah, if if it's if it's the AN series, if the Nitro is the AN series, then it probably.
All right, I gotta get in contact with this dude and see what we can do. I'm gonna be like, okay, disclaimer for you: I am not a programmer.
Right. But yeah, supposedly this would. Well, I was gonna say supposedly this would solve your turbo button needs, but maybe not.
It might eventually. Who knows?
Yeah.
If I get in contact with him and I actually maybe do some testing, if I'm not too scared to do that, maybe we can get something going. But I don't know. We'll see.
But yeah, so that was interesting. How have you enjoyed the laptop so far? How's it been to you?
So far, it's been like night and day from any other laptop I've ever had, except for my MacBook Pro, which that will always be my favorite, only because that keyboard is top notch for a laptop keyboard.
They do have good keyboards, yeah. They really
the
do.
2010 model, I don't know what it was about the 2010 model keyboard and Snow Leopard, but those two things, the Mac OS Snow Leopard, that's what I mean. I don't know what it was about those two things, but they were beautiful together.
Yeah.
And any other version of Mac OS after that has been worse for me. I don't know why, but that's just how it was. I don't know if it's like the nostalgia from me getting it and using it for having my first Mac or what, but
I haven't used Mac OS since leaving Geek Squad. That's the last time I used Mac OS, because none of my family members have it, and mostly when I would use it, it would be because I was helping somebody, there with it.
Yeah.
But I do remember that it kind of I think that kind of was the peak, that it seemed like the most usable was.
Yeah.
Snow Leopard. There was I had a MacBook that was like Scott's old MacBook that had a bad battery, and was trying to fix it. And I was gonna try to install Arch on it because there was like a project going for Arch install on on the Intel series MacBooks, and I never could. Every time I would replace something, I would discover something else was broken. So like I replaced the battery only to find out that the trackpad was bad. It was like it's just like a never-ending cycle.
Was it an expanded battery?
Yeah. The battery
that
started
will break the trackpad.
expanding.
I've had that problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they probably produce a lot of heat too, which is right behind the trackpad too.
Well, what happens is when that battery expands, it actually makes the trackpad so you can't press down on it anymore. That's the first indication that you'll notice of the battery swelling. And if you let it go for too long, like I did, it will break the trackpad underneath.
Yeah, that's probably what happened to this one, because it had expanded to the point that the case was coming apart.
Yeah, I didn't go that far, but if it was that far, it definitely broke the trackpad. But anyway, with this laptop, well, I since the keyboard was kind of meh, I did get a wireless keyboard. This one here, if you can see it, Red Dragon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's pretty nice. It's got Gatoron Reds inside, and it's not, even though you can hear it. Like, can you hear that?
I can.
Okay, even though you can hear that, it's not as loud as my Corsair keyboard from like 10 years ago that has Cherry MX Reds in it.
It's a nice keyboard. I had a Red Dragon.
Very nice.
The keyboard I had before this one was a Red Dragon. It wasn't this one. It was a blue switch keyboard, and it had a number pad. I don't know what it, but the price was similar. I think that Red Dragon makes really good keyboards in this price range. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And what I liked about this keyboard is it has all of the function keys. You just have to press FN, to get the functions
mhm.
and all stuff. It has media controls. You have to press FN to get those. It has like turn your brightness up and down, volume, all that stuff. And it also has over here like page up, page down, um, delete, insert, all that right here in this little section right there, which
Yeah.
is really nice because a lot of the 60% keyboards don't have those buttons. It just cuts off right at the arrow keys.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the fence about getting the System 76 keyboard, but that's the thing is like I don't know
Oh, I
that
know. It's so
just
expensive
it's
for
it's
what it is,
it is too expensive for what it is, but the 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 thing I just don't know, even if it wasn't that one, I don't know that I could get used to the reduced keyboard like that.
It's
But
hard for me with this one because I have a full keyboard
uh-huh.
and I constantly am mistyping things, fat thumbing them, whatever you
Mm,
want to call it. Fat
yeah.
fingering.
It's yeah, I'm on the
Uh,
fence. I'm on the fence about whether I could get used to it or not. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see
I'm
how
getting
you feel
used to
about
it, which
that.
I'm surprised. It's very hard for me to usually get used to things like this. Like I used to be on a controller all the time and I stopped using a controller for games
Mm-hmm.
and I went back to a controller and I couldn't believe how hard it was for me to actually get used to that controller again, even though I used it for I don't know what 10 years before.
I don't think I could do the controller thing. I actually have I bought like a box of all these different controllers, and I don't
Yeah,
know if
for me, unless it's an old game that I have to use, like if it's N64, I use my
hmm
N64 controller. Unless it's that, it's so hard for me to get used to it.
I'll tell you something I discovered. Um, and it goes into something I was going to talk about in this episode. I picked up some games I haven't had time to actually like play them and review them yet.
Right.
But all three of the games are first person, either first person shooter or they're just first person. And
Hmm.
I think that I've been playing like the third person MMO action RPG. I think I've been playing those so long that I've lost my like my motion. Like whenever I try to play a first person game now, it makes me feel dizzy. Like the first
Mm,
time I
interesting.
like the first couple
I
times
know
that I
what
did
you're
it,
talking about.
yeah.
I do.
Are we just getting old? Is it like an older thing? I don't.
You know what? To be honest, I don't know, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I thought I was the only one that gets like that,
I
but when
mean,
I play a first person game anymore, I usually only play first person RPGs,
yeah,
except for like Metro Exodus, that's a shooter slash RPG.
yeah.
But like when I switch between them, I'm always more sick on the ones that are first person versus third person.
And I don't think it. Now that I'm fleshing this out, talking to you about it a little bit more, I don't really know if it's like first person shooters because I feel like Counter Strike. I feel like I feel like there's shooter games that I can play and it doesn't make me feel this way.
You know what? You know what it is too? It's the refresh rate of the monitor versus the frame rate of the game. If it's a low frame rate, I get more nauseous.
Huh?
Like if I'm down in the 30s, I'm like I get kind of weird until it gets back up into the 60s again.
That's so bizarre.
Like for instance, Kingdom Come Deliverance, that's a first person RPG game.
Uh
Some
huh.
cities I'll walk into, even with this laptop on Windows, will hit 30s frames per second. And I
Hmm.
get like kind of motion sick at that. And then once I'm past the city, I'm fine because it goes back up to like 100 frames a second or whatever the heck it'll get, 70 or whatever. And I'll be totally fine. The smoothness comes back.
Maybe it is something like that. I'm not sure. I mean, I
Try limiting a game to 30 frames per second and see if that does it like instantly, because for me it's instant. As soon as the
hmm.
game drops below a certain frame rate, I can tell because I start to get a little weird headache kinda, like it's just strange.
Yeah, yeah, no, it does it for me hard. So I'll just quickly like go through these. I picked up while they were on sale Underworld Ascendant, and that game is it's like a spiritual successor to an old RPG game, but it's like a puzzle platformer kind of game. It's sort of like a fantasy portal kind of thing, like where you're like solving these puzzles to get through these different rooms and different areas. Um,
Right.
but you're also like fighting skeletons and things along the way with like swords and spells and things. So it's like a really like high fantasy. dungeon crawler, but with like this like platformy puzzle kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I play the game, like it starts making me nauseous. And at first I thought, oh, it's just this game because that game kind of has mixed reviews, and so I was like, maybe it's got something to do with the game itself. So I picked up a few more. One is the Long Dark. I have the Ling Dark in the show notes, but it's the Long Dark. Which is a very interesting game. I can't wait to play more of it so I can give a review of it. It's like it's sort of like you're like playing through this book kind of thing. It's telling you a story, very cutscene heavy, but it's like a survivor game where like you have to make sure that you eat, that you get warmth, that you drink water, all this kind of stuff. All in the meanwhile you're following through this story. But again, it made me feel nauseous. But then what finally signaled it for me that, hey, I think there's something going on with me, not these games. I picked up a game called Notch, and I didn't even play much of it before I got a headache and gave up. But it was just this interesting game. It was only like $7 on Steam, and it's like a small company. It's I need to look and see what country they're from, but it's from they're not an American company. It's translated to English, and I would say poorly. It's not that great translated. But the environment of the game looks beautiful, and the pictures of the environment is what enticed me to pick it up because it was so cheap. But once I actually started playing the game, the interface and all of the interfaces in the game are really bad. So I don't know if I'm going to play it enough to review it, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm interested to see.
You want a game that really makes you sick?
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls, the first Elder Scrolls game where it's like, I can't think of what it is. Not I keep thinking Blades, but that's the phone one.
Elder Scrolls.
I can't think of the name of it. Arena. That's what it is. Play that game. If that doesn't make you sick, nothing else will. That game, oh man, it is bad. I got it for free with GOG on a.
Oh, I recognize this cover. I recognize this cover because it had the like the like half naked lady with the sword on the front.
Yeah.
I remember this cover.
That game will make you sick. There is no way around it. I don't know what it is. I think it's capped at a certain frame rate, probably.
So Graham says he kind of has the same problem. He says that that if you disable motion blur,
I do disable motion blur. I do that for that reason. I know exactly what he's talking about. I do that, but it's still, if it hits below 30 some frames per second or in the 30s, I'm instantly headache. Instantly.
I think,
it's like dude, the question.
I don't want this episode to just be talking about how I'm getting old, but like I do this when I'm watching YouTube videos. If someone's like looking around a room with the camera and like they're moving too much, I'm like, whoa. I can't have it full screen.
That doesn't bother me.
Oh my God. Yeah. It makes me so nauseous. Yeah. So maybe.
Oh, you know what made me nauseous too? Freaking Loki, when they were doing that one scene where they were flipping the camera around.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, if you watch it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They flip the camera from upside down to right side up, and oh my gosh, that I had to look away. I couldn't.
But you know what? It's not me getting old thing, because I remember I actually had to get up and go to the restroom. I was so nauseous during Cloverfield, like in the movie theater.
Oh, yeah, that movie is yeah.
Like halfway through the movie, I was just like, I can't take this anymore, and I went to the restroom, and I'll leave the rest of the story for another day.
Oh man, no, I know what you're talking about with that movie. That movie's I can't watch that for
Yeah.
I tried watching that movie.
But I mean, I grew up playing first person video games.
Me too.
It's never been. I say that, but the key games of my youth were Resident Evil and Metal Gear, which are both third person. So maybe this has been a problem longer than I realized. But I know that I played like Modern Warfare, Counter-Strike. Like those games have never bothered me. So I don't know what the difference is.
I don't know, because I used to play the first person games. I used to play Morrowind and Oblivion. And then Halo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That never used to bother me ever. But I always played on a console. I never really played on a PC until about maybe like 2010 or something like that. And I always played on a console, and with that, the frame rate is locked. You know, it's kind of smooth. It's not,
it's not right in your face. You know, you probably played
that
on a
too, yeah.
television. But for me, Counter-Strike, I mean, like first person shooter games were how I got into PC gaming. I don't know, man. I'm gonna play like, all right, so maybe this is our 100 sub thing. If we get 100 subs, here we go. We get 100 subs.
For 100 subs, let's go.
Yep. So if we get 100 subs for a month, I will play only first person games and see if I can get over the curse, the motion blur curse. How long have we been streaming? How are we doing on time?
I actually don't know. I don't have my. I usually have a timer up here, but
we've been streaming for about an hour, but the show itself's probably only been going for about 50 minutes.
Okay. All right. Can I just kind of get in here, just quick?
Yeah.
My the mice I want to try and get.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking for a MMO mouse that is wireless, because I tried using my wired one with this, and the wire just it's too much of a pain. And I looked at, let's see here, what is it? 4? Yeah, 4 different ones here. I looked at the Razer Naga Pro, which is kind of out of my price range right now.
Yeah.
I looked at the UTech Smart Venus Pro, the Red Dragon M913, which the UTech Smart and the Red Dragon are basically the same mouse if you look at them, except for they're from different companies. And then the Logitech Lightspeed G640, which is the one, or 604, which is the one I'm using right now because I bought that for my wife a while ago. And I do like that one, but the problem with that one is it only has 6 buttons on the side instead of 12, and I really like to have the 12.
Yes, I know what you mean. I'm looking at it now.
Like I really would like the Razer Naga, but it's just so expensive comparatively speaking to these other ones, you know?
I used to have the Razer Naga, and I really liked that mouse a lot, and I had it for a very long time. So I mean, I can vouch for it's a good mouse.
The only thing I don't like about the Razer mice is they don't have enough of a curve for me. Like they're almost too flat. Because I have used several different ones in the past, and I don't know if they've changed the design or not, but they almost seem too flat for my hand.
It is like a bit smaller because my Razer Naga went bad whenever our air conditioner broke, and it got like over 90 degrees in our house for almost 2 weeks.
Oh right, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh geez.
And the thing that went bad was we had 2 casualties of that whole situation, and one was my mouse, my Razer Naga mouse, and the other was the dog food. All the dog food went bad.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It must have been the humidity, I guess, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, our dog got sick shortly after, and then the more research I when I looked into it, I think that's what it was.
Interesting.
But anyway, that's nothing to do with this conversation. But like I got a new mouse. I got the Corsair Scimitar, which I think is what you have now,
that's
right?
The one I have. Yep, that's the one I have. And I just the cord is just too much of a pain on my laptop with my lap desk that I got.
Yeah. So I don't think that the Naga is too small, but this Scimitar feels huge in my hand now that I'm used to holding the Naga.
The Scimitar feels too small for me.
God, the Scimitar feels huge. I'm used to it now, but when I first bought it,
is my hand like huge or something? Like I don't know. I don't get it. Everyone I talk to is like, "Oh, this thing is so big." I'm like, "This thing is not that big."
I think you're just used to it because the Scimitar. I'm telling you, whenever I first held it, I was like, "Dude, this thing is gigantic." But now I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me now.
Right. I don't know.
But yeah, I would vote for the Naga. It's a good mouse. I kind of wish. I'll be honest with you. I kind of wish I had just bought the Naga again instead of the Scimitar, because I also have problems with the Scimitar with my KVM switching from my desktop to my my work laptop.
Mm-hmm.
I have the back button programmed to go back. Well, I call it the back button. I have this button programmed to go back in Linux, but then when I switch over to my Windows PC, I hit that button and it changes the sensitivity. Where my Naga, my
Yeah.
Naga always, like, I didn't have to do any programming on Linux. I didn't have to map any buttons.
On your Windows PC, do you have the software installed?
No, because it's my work PC. Like, I don't want to install, like,
Oh.
I mean, I guess I could,
That would
but
be the fix. That would be the fix. You'd
yeah.
install that, you'd set it up on there, and then as soon as it switched to that PC, it would automatically know that that's the right button.
Yeah, but like the Naga, like it comes with software, but like I literally never used it. I never have used it on Windows or Linux. It just all the buttons just map, to the numpad, and then the back button is the back button.
Yeah, and I just switched the games instead of having to switch the software. I switched each game to what I want.
Well, in the
I need to.
with the Naga, I never needed to do that. It was just
Right.
it was always just mapped the way you would expect.
Plug and play, baby.
Yep. Yeah. So
all right,
yeah.
well, maybe that'll be a Christmas present because I cannot afford that right now, especially with this laptop payment coming out.
What is the what is the price difference? So the Naga's $100. This Logitech. I'm looking on. This is not the wireless Naga. This is the wired.
I need the wireless one. That's
with your laptop situation. Yeah, you probably want the wireless one.
Well, what I'm doing too is I'm hooking it up to my TV and I'm couch gaming. That's another thing that I want to do, and that's just like not gonna happen with a wired mouse.
Yeah.
I just buy like a 30-foot freaking USB A to A.
Well, all right, so your laptop is not in your lap because you're using a wireless keyboard. Yeah, you need a wireless mouse.
Exactly.
I've never tried the wireless Naga, but I imagine it's just as good. And the Logitech's probably pretty good. I've never had a Red Dragon mouse. Their keyboards get really good reviews. Like their keyboards.
I had a Red Dragon mouse for years. For like 10 years, I had a wired one. And it was great, but eventually what happened is the left click button started to get mushy, and then it would kind of double click and not click sometimes and stuff. But I had for like 10 years and with no problems.
Yeah, that's I mean, eventually they all got to go sometimes. That's probably a sign.
If anything physical, it's got to go eventually.
Yeah,
but that's the only reason why I'm even considering it.
Yeah, I don't know. My vote would still go for the
thing I like about the Logitech, other than the negative that it only has 6 buttons, is that it takes a AA. So I don't have to worry about charging it. I can just switch out the battery.
Yeah, or get you some rechargeable AA's.
Or the rechargeable ones. But I'm just saying, if it dies, I can always just switch battery instead of having oh crap, I got to plug it in and all this, bull crap.
That's probably a really good mouse. Just like you, I don't know if I could give up the buttons.
Yeah, that's my problem. I don't think I could because I actually have it. Like I said, I'm using it right now, and it's not what I want. I need more. Even though it does have the scroll wheel can go left and right on that, I just can't get used to that. I've tried that, and it's just not like to map those as 8 and 9. Because it goes up to 6 or 7, 8. I should say 7, 8. It just doesn't. It's not the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, those are my choices. I don't know. The UTech and the Red Dragon look exactly the same. The software looks exactly the same. I don't know. Maybe I'll go with them because they're $50. I don't know.
Is there a price difference between the UTech and the Red Dragon? Or are they both about $50?
I think they're like maybe a couple dollars difference.
I would go with the Red Dragon then, just because that brand versus the UTech, but they probably literally are the same mouse.
They look the same, yeah.
I had some drawing tablets that were like that a while back, where it was like literally the same drawing tablet. They just had different brands on them. But yeah, Red Dragon it's crazy how they sell these like cheap devices this way, but they get really good reviews. They're really good. They remind me of the Sennheiser of headphones. Like Sennheiser always has these cheap headphones that are like really good in that price range. Like you can get better headphones, but not for $60, $50, $60.
Yep.
Yeah. They're just really good in that price range. So I was gonna bring up this work from home dilemma I have. I'll kind of maybe give it to you quick before we end the show. I love the idea of your gaming laptop because I wish that I just had if I had a gaming laptop set up instead of a desktop, then I could just have like a USB-C docking station or like a Thunderbolt docking station of some kind, and then I could just, whenever it's time to do work from home, I unplug my gaming laptop and plug in my work laptop, and I can work from home. The way it is now, I try to use this KVM switch that only has one HDMI, and so I have this monitor over here will be my KVM monitor that routes to my laptop, and then I have my laptop screen right here. But when I sit at my desk, like all of this is like shifted to my right, so I kind of have to like get in this corner over here, and it's just not a comfortable like work environment. Like I can't, and then there's no way for me to actually connect these two monitors, this mouse and keyboard, all to my laptop without some sort of dock.
Right.
And the company provides me this thing, this like Lenovo USB thing, but it's only got one HDMI, and it's got like two USBs. Like I'm basically in the same situation as my KVM. So I was thinking, my desktop has USB-C. Now I checked my motherboard specs, and it is a USB-C versus a Thunderbolt. So I have to make sure that I get a USB-C dock. It can't take advantage of the Thunderbolt like capabilities, speeds, and everything. But I picked out two that I think could work. But basically, what I was thinking is if I route my desk setup here to that dock and then route that to my desktop, then when I want to use my laptop, I'll just park it over there by the desktop and then switch the USB-C cables. The first one I found was this is kind of the more expensive one. I'm going to have to do this monitor trick because if I try to drag it over, I'm going to get the white screen of death. So I found this like Toblerone. I found a Toblerone docking station, but it's like a big like honking unit that like I'll have to sit like on my desk.
That's a big sucker.
And it seems like it has like a pretty good selection. It's got two HDMIs, which
everything.
Yeah, but right now I'm using a DisplayPort, but I could switch to HDMI if this actually works. So I could plug my mouse and keyboard and my monitors into this, and then plug the USB-C into my desktop. And now I noticed that this has host 1 and host 2. So I wonder if you can actually plug two PCs into this at once, and it'll sort of act as a switch.
Kind of looks like it. Yeah.
And if that's what this does, then that's actually perfect. This is probably exactly what I need. But this is the more expensive one at $120. So I'd only want to buy it like if I was sure like this was going to solve this problem, because I live like an hour away from my job, and they don't mind if I work from home. They want me to come in sometimes, but they don't mind if I work from home. And I just don't feel right doing it because I know how much less productive I am from home versus there. And it has a lot to do with my monitor real estate. Like on Friday, I worked from home until like 11, and I was just like, I'm not getting anything done. And I just drove an hour up there just so I could use both my monitors, mouse, and keyboard. So yeah, this is one option. But then the more inexpensive option is this USB-C. All right, let's see if I try to move this here to here. No, I got a white screen.
Oh no.
Can I move this? Okay, saved it. This is just like a USB-C like kind of extension thing, similar to what I already have now.
Yeah.
Only it has a whole lot more plugs, and it actually will do. It looks like it's got a DisplayPort, and then two HDMIs, and so I'd only have to switch one thing to HDMI. So maybe this is a better solution. I don't know. And then the question is, well, if I use something like a USB-C docking station for my desktop, what am I sacrificing? Is there anything? Oh, it just hit me. I know what I'm sacrificing. My GPU is not going to go through the USB-C device. I had to plug my.
Oh, because it's Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I can't. It's not gonna use. Like, my system is not going to use my GPU memory, right?
Wait, hold on. What do you? Oh no, it should just be like the plug-in and display. I don't know how.
So?
I don't know how it translates to. It says mirror and non-mirror mode. I don't know how it does that, because I've only ever used a HDMI switch, and you have to switch between them or have mirrored mode. So I don't know how it does that, but it looks like you can have 3 monitors plugged into the second one. You got the cheaper one.
Yeah.
And you can actually have them in non-mirrored mode, which means obviously you can have 3 different displays.
Yeah. But what I mean is, if it's running through the USB-C on my motherboard, then
I think it's just like a display port. I think that's literally what it's being used like, I guess.
I'm probably my motion blurred old man mind is not following this right now.
Yeah, because basically you're plugging this thing into a USB port, basically.
Right.
It's not a
right. But if I were plugging,
port,
if I were
a display port.
But it's, if I'm plugging a USB audio device into my computer, it's not using my sound card. You know what I mean? Like if I'm plugging an external device to power my monitors, is it going to bypass my GPU? I think it would.
Because it's not using Thunderbolt. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, this one isn't. Is this one not rated for Thunderbolt?
My motherboard is not.
Right, your motherboard is not. But are these two things
I don't know.
Not rated? Because maybe you have to have Thunderbolt to do this.
Well, I found it by looking up USB-C. But most things, I mean, if it does Thunderbolt, it would also do USB-C.
But Thunderbolt is like connected right to the PCI bus.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to research this more. I'll research it more, and then we'll come back and talk about it. But that's my dilemma. If anybody has any solutions,
how old's the laptop that you have?
My laptop is a Kudu.
What are you trying to do?
So I'm not using my I want to use my gaming setup, but be able to switch from it to my laptop.
Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, so your desktop PC it doesn't have Thunderbolt. It just has USB-C. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, you're gonna definitely have to do a little more research on that, I think.
Yeah. I got hooked for that loop right before. Like, as we were talking about it, I had not considered that. So, I don't know. I'll research it. We'll talk about it next week. But anyway, we got some comments this week. I apologize. Probably have to read them next week. I don't know if I can pull them up that quickly.
Again, I keep forgetting to look at them. I'm constantly forgetting to look at the YouTube comments.
Let me see if I can get to them real quick. We got one comment that was like a response to our previous one. I wanted to at least go over that one if I could. Come on. Cut all this out. Don't worry. All right, comments. The only one I've got marked as not being responded to is from I don't know if you remember, but we had an Ancient 24 last week. So he said, "Thanks for the shout out. I'm still shopping around looking for solutions. Since my computer runs a TV in another room that along HDMI cables.
Oof.
My main PC and a graphics tablet, and they all required different DPI scaling, and some display. Man, I don't even feel bad about my problem anymore. Some display get turned off depending on what I do. I also had issues with audio sources moving to the TV. Yeah. I'll keep at it though, unrelated. But my heart sank whenever I first watched the cast and the sub count dropped below 60. But now it's back up above, so you still have to do the challenge. Ancient, I did the challenge. It was a 50 sub challenge. I did this challenge. We talked about it I think I've talked about it in 2 episodes, but maybe I need to do like an independent video of just reviewing i3. In general, though, I did the challenge. I didn't hate i3. I didn't love i3. I thought it was a little like unspectacular, to be honest with you.
It was usable, right?
Yeah, it was usable. There was gripes that I had with it, but nothing I couldn't live with. I definitely do not. I think people that that talk about how much more, like, oh, I'm so much more productive because I use i3 instead of a regular desktop. Nah. You just think it looks cool, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's all it is.
Each their own.
Right. Right. You can think that, but it's not more productive, bro. But yeah, I think the 100 sub challenge will be I can only play first person shooters for an entire month, which will be I never thought about this before, but
shooters or first-person games?
First-person games. First-person games.
Okay.
But I really never like Skyrim is like the last first-person game I played. Like I haven't played a first-person game in forever. Is The Witcher first-person?
No.
No. Yeah.
That's third.
See. Yeah. So I haven't played a first-person game in so long. I'll do it for an entire month. If we get 100 subs, I'll do it for an entire month.
To play The Witcher though. That's a good game.
All right, well, let me find the outro music, and we will get out of here. All right, here it is. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Peace.
See ya.